Hi Lee, hi Philip, hi World Hope Forum. I'm sorry I cannot be there live with you today, but I thought I don't want to miss out on this nice occasion, on this nice gathering of great minds. So I made a little clip for you, representing my work and showing you the fibers I work with and the way I work with them. So I'm Daniel Costa, I'm an artist and textiler. This is a word invented by the great person behind the camera, Laura. And the nice thing about textiler is that it can include everything, from a textile artist to a weaver to a textile researcher to a fiber sourcer, because this is all parts of the things I do. Therefore I like this word, textiler. Loom is the title, I would say the sound of my first collection of textiles. Loom is a sound, a vibration used in Tibetan meditation to connect us to our roots and the ground. I always wanted to do textile, and I thought, if I'm going to do textile, I need to start with the most fundamental of all textiles, which is the rug. It is the carpet, because it is the field and it is the fundament. Therefore the name Loom, because the collection is very closely as it is possible to me to relate it to the landscape where the animals graze, where the people had been living for hundreds and hundreds of years. It is very important for me to make this bond to the origin, to the source, as direct and profound as possible. Therefore, I had to concentrate on the yarn. Or let's say, before the yarn, I have to concentrate on the fiber. This is why I set up a system where we can partly buy the YAK wool directly from the farmers that we collaborate with. So this is crucial for my work. If not, my work is not satisfying to me, because this element bears the biggest part of the fascination for me, to see how people on this altitude survive. I think this contains an incredible amount of knowledge and evolved skills, and the same is for the animal, this fascination for the YAK, this archaic, mystical and kind of holy animal which is able to survive up there in this really hard condition, and by living there it produces, it grows this fascinating and partly very, very soft cashmere-like fiber. This relation to the YAK farmers I have set up with my partner in Belgium, Mark Castor. Together with his atelier in Nepal, we are able to source the fibers directly up in the valleys. We bring them to Kathmandu. We found people who spin the yarn and who weave the textile. I say we found people because the YAK has 3 different hairs. It has the coarse outer hair, which is meant to protect, to shed off the biggest rain. Then there's a medium quality hair and a very fine down-like, cashmere-like hair, which is a rather short fiber, and it's very close to the body. So this short fiber is very difficult to spin because it is so fine. And this it was kind of difficult to find people who are willing to do this, who are willing to improve this skill, and who are willing to depart with us on this adventure, because we don't know exactly yet where it will bring us. So it contains a lot of shared efforts, the effort of the animal to survive, the effort of the people to survive, the knowledge that has been grown, and all the skills that come together. Alone, the carrying of the YAK wool to Kathmandu takes at least 2 weeks, because the wool goes on donkeys and horses for about 10 days over the mountains. And where we are here now in South Tyrol, Italy, we have an ancient textile which is called the Loom, which is woven and felted, and this textile was always a fascination for me. And then I found out there is a similar technique in the Himalayas, so I thought this must be more authentic. Then I have found this, and I departed for this material, and in parallel I found out that actually in most mountain regions there exists this sturdy quality of textile which is woven and felted. The quality we work with originally had been used to do carpets, but also to do tents and shelters, which is fundamental for the survival in the mountains. So there is the YAK, there is this protection, there is the fertility, and there is this 3 different qualities of hair which go from rough to very fine and soft, which is essential to me and fascinating, and this is what I try to amplify in my textiles. I intuitively, because of the calling of this woven and felted material, I started to travel to Nepal with the clear intention of researching this technique, of getting in touch with the animal, with the farmers, and to develop and explore this technique. And only after a couple of trips, when I came back to Paris, at that point I was still living in Paris, arriving in Paris, I realized that the most fascinating things that I observed in the Himalayas, in Nepal, in the mountains, were the similarities with the mountains where I come from. And understanding this, I knew that I'm not at the right spot anymore in Paris. So therefore I decided to move here, back to Südtirol, where I'm in much closer dialogue and contact with the mountains and with all the material sources that the mountains offer. There is another element which is not a thing that the mountains here in Nepal have in common. This is rather something that is innate to the Nepalese and to the Tibetan, to the Buddhist culture, and this is the use of fibre, of yarn, of textile in their spiritual practice. So fibre and yarn is constantly present in their daily lives. When they tie a prayer to a tree, when they knot a thought into a piece of textile, when prayers are dissolved from textile into air, into the sky. So whenever traveling throughout the country, I constantly see textile which contains, or which is a trace of a spiritual practice, of an inner thought. So that I strongly believe that there is something in this fibre, or in the fibre, which is able to absorb. And the way textile is lived and practiced in Nepal is still in much closer touch with the hands of the people, with their emotions, with their worries, with their lives. Because everything is constantly touched. When we process a yarn by a machine, there's a different flow. Surely the machine has a trace, leaves a strong trace in the yarn, but when we work with people, the people leave also a trace in the yarn. And the contact of the people not only starts with the yarn, but it starts with the symbiotical living together with the animals in the mountains. So the herding of the yak, the joy of when a calf is born, the sorrow when an animal dies under an avalanche in the winter, the butter that is drunken in the tea every day. This is all in this fiber. The spinning, this constant human touch. So Textiles is able to absorb a lot, and this is something which I don't see, and I don't see anymore in my surrounding, but this I see there, and this opened up a different entrance into a different way of working. So I think making a yarn, making a textile is very similar like making a medicine. It is a very clear sourcing of the ingredients, plant, animal or mineral source. It is the right processing, and then it is being put together with, or I like to put it together with other fibers in order to give it the right vibration. And this is, I say vibration because I always talk about the singing yarn, and the same way string sings on a violin, a yarn sings in a textile. And this all comes together, and I strongly believe we need, or I strongly believe I like to choose the fibers I mix and blend with each other and give it the right place in the home. I work with 4 different fibers. One is the yak hair in its 2 qualities, the rougher hair, which is so incredibly durable. So therefore the foundation, it has this stability, the endurance. The softer yak hair has a more fudder-like quality. It is protective, warm. Then there is the cashmere, which has a mother-like quality, more nurturing. Then there is the nettle as a 3rd fiber, which is a little bit fetish, I would say. It's stinging. It is protective, but it's also vitalizing and stabilizing. And the 4th fiber is the goat hair, which protects from the evil. Now, it is very interesting because in the desert, goat hair rugs are used to sleep upon because snakes don't go onto goat hair. So it protects. Fruits are being dried on goat hair rugs because insects don't go there. So knowing these qualities of the fiber, I know that I want to live with this fiber, that I want to sleep in this fiber. This is how I build up my collection, and this is how I choose what is important for me to have in this ensemble. A couple of days ago I figured out that the oldest known nettle textile to us dates back 2800 before Christ, and it was found what is today Denmark. One of the richest men at that time was buried in, he was burned and his bones were buried in a nettle cloth. Now, studies have come to the conclusion that this textile, this very, very old nettle textile, did not originate in Denmark, but it comes from Kern or the Steiermark, which is a region just beyond the border. It is this region which already at that time was apparently known for nettle production, nettle textile production, and understanding this root allows my brain to trust my intuition when I travel and when I work with other fibers in other countries, because it's the same origin, it's the same source. Now the nettle is a very, very difficult fiber to work with. What is interesting is that, because we talk about farming, it is actually not a fiber which is farmed or grown in fields. It is harvested wild in the forests. So in Nepal, the nettle is a little bit different. It grows much taller. It grows up to 2 meters and higher. So it has also a longer fiber. Now the breaking up, like the harvesting, is already very laborious. Then there follows a process of rotting, and then this first rough woody fiber is being cooked with ashes. Then it's being beaten with a stick on a stone to soften up and to sort of distract the fibers from the flesh of the plant. Then it's continuously being washed and beaten, not washed, cooked and beaten. And in the last step, it is washed with earth, with very fine white earth. It's like a white clay. And then it suddenly starts to gather like a cloud. It becomes very hairy and a little sticky. And out of that, people make a sort of pre-yarn, and that pre-yarn they spin them by hand into a yarn. So this is very intense work from the harvesting to the beating, this washing, and then also the spinning. And the finer we want to spin it, the more complex, the more sophisticated it becomes. Also, the more difficult it becomes to find people who like to do this, who are willing to do this, and who are in one way or the other understanding the importance and the importance of craft, and that the only way for craft to survive is to study it more and more and to become better and better in it, so that the gap to the mechanical world becomes bigger and the products become more exclusive. I also try to explain to you and to myself a little bit how I work in textile and with textile. But it's very difficult to explain. There is this one part which is very human. It's the sourcing of material and people. The other part is this observing of the culture and everything immaterial, if you want, spiritual or mythological in it. And the other, there is the crafting of it into textile, and at the other side, and on a big part of my table, is another type of work where the fiber is a drawing, but the fiber is not a drawing. The fiber, as if a drawing, expresses or helps me feel the content of the yarn, helps me to drown into this world which is then not material anymore. And this goes in parallel, because in this very intuitive work I I feel desire and I feel a strong longing to go and somewhere and express something. And once that work is finished, by observing, it allows me to understand what actually happened. And it allows me to draw parallels to the mythological world of the fibre, which I see in Nepal, but it also allows me to learn from that and bring it into my own world of mythology and into my own world of medicine, into my own world of vibration and content. So it is a parallel. I need both because this is it is a very personal way of researching what the fiber, what the yarn means to me, and making the product allows me to make much of these gatherings accessible to other people. So if someone gets a rug or a blanket, they get a lot. Because there is so much in it. There is the animals, the people, there is my own research, and ultimately there is also a big part of me in the textile. Well, thank you, Lee and Philip, for the opportunity given to talk to you and to talk to all of the World Hope Forum. Unfortunately, I'm not able to answer your questions directly, but if ever you feel like talking to me or feel like knowing things, feel free to drop me a message via my website, email, or via the Instagram. Bye bye.
Nice.